we're definitely in some changing times right now. And I think that it's super important for us as realtors to first assess our business and our personal life to say, what are our needs in our business and in our life, and everything else cancel. So I am cutting subscriptions and just unnecessary things. And I'm at $384 that I've saved myself a month just by cutting back on small items. So I think that, I mean, yes, the purpose of this call is to work virtually, but us as real estate professionals, we need some items to help us with building our business and clients and database and those things. But I also think that who here by a raise of hand says, hey, we were in a great market the past 2 years plus, and I've been a little bit more lenient with my expenses. Me? I mean, we're all guilty of it, right? And so I think just first and foremost, we need to start making some good decisions as we're headed into a changing market.
Yeah, I think that was one of the first things. Like, I just switched to Keller Williams, and I at first felt like, wow, this was a horrible time to do this switch, but I didn't know what was coming a couple of days later. But I truly feel as though everything happens for a reason. And literally, Keller Williams did not even bat an eye on what was happening, and immediately started educating us. Okay, we need to cut expenses. It's time to pivot. This is the time to shift. And like every hour they have a new video out on a different topic of top producing agents across the country. There's like a Zoom call every 30 minutes. Like I honestly, I've still been so busy in my business, but I know there is going to be a time in the next couple of weeks where things will slow down. And I hope to like binge watch all of these videos, but I've caught a couple of them. And one of the main things was cut your expenses. And the next thing was go virtual. Like where you have to educate yourself on how to do these Zoom calls, how to get buyer consults and do them all, FaceTime, Zoom, and educate yourself on how to use these platforms ahead of time, because technology can be frustrating, right? Like it's frustrating for me sometimes. And, especially for working with older customers, they're not very familiar and they may have never used these platforms before. So make sure that you are so educated on it and that you can easily explain to somebody how to use these platforms, even though they are pretty easy to use, don't you think? Like Zoom, yeah. And if you want to FaceTime somebody.
Absolutely. There's GoToMeeting, there's Zoom, there's you can do FaceTime, there's Google Hangouts. There's a lot of options. And depending on how much you're actually, utilizing them, they can be free resources for you. And if not, I'm paying right now $10 a month for Zoom. And when I was going through and cutting back on expenses, I said, okay, Zoom is one that's going to stay because this is how I'm working my business right now. But you can bet that any mailers, any sort of ads that I had previously done, getting out to people like for open houses and things, all cut off. This is one that's definitely going to stay. I have one that will put together a handwritten note card for me. Guess what? That $30 a month can be used elsewhere. My monthly car wash. I love getting my car washed, but guess what? We're in some different times right now. So I'm going to sacrifice going through the car wash every single day and cut back on that expense because that's not going to help me take my business one step further, right? So I think that there's a lot to be said about the different platforms that we have. And, it's super easy, especially in the Real Estate of Mind Facebook group or any of these others, to say to another agent, hey, I'm trying to get my Zoom hooked up so that I can have these virtual meetings. Can you hop on real quick and role play through this with me? Or just make sure that my camera works. Does this, anything like that? We're all going through it. And so I think that everything that we're doing is the same. Instead of it being face to face, it's screen to screen. That's the only thing that I've seen that's different. Let's dive into, because both Stevie and I have had both buyers and listing appointments virtually through Zoom calls already. And so let's go over what we've done to successfully have those. And I think it starts first with the conversation. So let's dive into first the conversation that we're having to get the appointment scheduled. And then we'll go into actually having the appointment in a format just like this. Sound good?
Yeah, I do want to mention that before we start this off, that I've just been getting asked a lot of questions. I know we talked about this yesterday in our mentorship call, but most of these people on here weren't on that. So basically, a lot of people have been reaching out to me, and I'm sure they've been reaching out to you asking, how is this going to affect real estate? My current customers, potential new customers, they're all asking me like, what's going on, Stevie, right? And they're so fearful, and they're hearing all these things on the news, and they don't know what to believe, and they don't know if they should invest right now. And I feel as though my conversations have been so good because, one, I'm positive. I'm not bringing fear to them, and I'm the one who's in real estate 24/7, right? Like, this is my job. So when they hear me being positive and not bringing fear to them, I think that gives them some kind of like reassurance. But also, I have an action plan, and I know what we need to do to move forward, and these are the different things that we're implementing now in our business. Like, it's not that we're not doing real estate, we're just doing things a little bit differently, and I'm sharing that with them. Like, hey, I'll share with them my showings. I'm still having so many showings every single day. The agents are going there. They're doing virtual tours. I'm still technically doing open houses, but I'm doing them virtually. And I feel as though when you have this plan, like if they have an objection, like, oh, we can't get together now for our buyer consult. Oh no, actually, we could just hop on a Zoom call for 30 minutes. You don't even have to leave your house now. It's going to save you so much time. We can just hop on the call. I can send you the PDF of my buyer guide, and I can answer all the questions just like if we were face to face. I think if you show up, you're positive, you have an action plan, they're like, all right, yeah, let's roll. And if you just share, like, be honest, like, yeah, we got to shift our business. We got to pivot. But people still need to buy, and they still need to sell. So the one other thing was that I was getting asked a lot about prices. I don't know how it is with you. I think, Amanda, you had mentioned that your market was different than mine, but inventory is so low here in Northeast Florida. When I have a buyer, just in general, I'm like, all right, here's your options. And it's like 3 options. They don't love it. We got to wait till something new comes on because there's just not a lot of inventory here. Well, now we're getting into our spring market. This is supposed to be our busiest time of the year, where sellers had been waiting till spring to list, right? We've been hearing all winter, oh no, we're not listing until the spring, right? Well, now we were kind of expecting to have more listings. I know with buyers, they're like, oh, I'm sure there'll be more options in the spring, yada, yada. Well, now there's not going to be those options. And it's all about supply and demand when it comes to prices. So there's been a demand there, and I feel as though there's going to be even more of a demand. With that said, prices aren't going to be dropped. That's been like a huge question. It's like, are prices going to drop with my listing now? Am I going to have to drop 50,000 because of what's going on with the virus? And it's like, no, there's still a demand there. And what I had heard from you, Amanda, but even on this call, agents in Orlando, they are technically in shelter in place, and you can only go to work if you have an essential business, but they are considering real estate an essential business because people need to buy. Title companies are open. I know some banks, big banks, have closed down, right? They're not funding, but a lot of these other banks are still funding. So it's just something to think about when you're having these conversations with people and they're asking you these questions because they're fearful. And if you're educated and you're positive, they're going to feel so much more comfortable moving forward.
Yeah, everything that you said, when it's almost one of those things where if you make a big deal about it, it's a big deal, right? So when you don't make a big deal and you're like, oh, hey, no worries. This is what I'm doing for my clients, and everybody is actually on the same page with it. We're just going to hop on a Zoom call for 30 minutes. I'm going to preview the homes for you. Anything like that. They're like, oh, okay, that's what everybody else is doing. Also, provide stats. When I pull up the first page of my North Texas MLS, it has a line graph on there. Most of you have seen it because you reached out to me like, oh my God, where did you get that? And I can set it up for the last 24 hours, the last 3 days, the last week. And I can show how many new listings went on the market, how many price decreases, how many went under contract, pending, sold. And then the big one is canceled and expired. So how many of those canceled and expired? The number they didn't even add up to anything close to the new, the sold, the under contracts, and everything in between. So I think if you're providing those stats to people, I heard a really, really great saying from somebody on a call yesterday, and it was, we're going to have the same amount of homes sold in 2020 as the numbers projected. It's just that instead of it happening over the course of 12 months, it's just going to happen over the course of 10 months. So it's not that the numbers of homes sold are going to go down. It's just that the time frame is going to be shortened a little bit, which I loved. I mean, how cool is that to say, no, actually the predictions show that the same number of homes that originally were anticipated in 2020 will sell this year, except it's just going to happen over a course of 10 months instead of 12. Like, that's so cool to be able to say that. So yes, know your scripts, know what you should be saying for people, presenting it into a positive light. And also, I think you guys know me, I am huge when it comes to questions. I can battle out with somebody question after question. And when it comes down to finding out their motivation, that will help determine whether they're going to be your A buyer or seller right now, ready to go, or if they are going to wait it out and see what the market does. And to be honest with you, I want to work with my A people right now because the market's not slowing down for anybody from what I can see. And also, real quick, interest rates. Interest rates are huge. I mean, I got somebody at 2.75. What? When I am telling that to the public, and I have two people, I have a client and then I have myself. I myself got pre-approved for 2.75. And it's so cool when you're like, buyers, they're still in the market because, and I did the stats on it, you might have seen my video, at 2.75 versus 3.75, it's a savings of $150 a month. And then when it goes up one more percentage after that, it's a savings of $250 a month. Like, we're talking $250 a month. We know that when people get pre-approved, the debt to income ratio and everything, they're looking at a certain dollar amount that they have to stay under a month between the mortgage and everything. And so, $200, $300 savings a month, that's huge. So, all right, so let's dive into actually having the virtual, setting the virtual appointment. So the way that I'm having the conversation with internet leads, expireds, canceled, people that I've been nurturing, open house leads, it's just simply, hey, when we had recently spoke, you said that your time frame to sell was going to be in the spring, whether that's April, May, whatever, is that still your time frame? And I think just asking them, getting everybody's opinion on what they feel is going on right now, because I had 2 closings today and both of my people were like, one was at a title company where we were in 2 separate rooms from the closer. It was so awkward. And the other was actually a mobile closer came to the property. But both my clients are like, this is strange. Like, it's fine. I can use that pen. I don't need, you know what I mean? Whereas some people are like, they need a moon suit head to toe because they don't, they're nervous of being around people. So I think just ultimately seeing where they're at. So I think the power lies within the question, how are you doing? How are you adapting to the change that we're experiencing right now? Are your plans still to buy and sell this spring as they were previously?
Well, I will say this is what I've done. The most amount of people have reached out to me in the last week on social media wanting to buy. And I was like, honestly, I was shocked. I was like, okay, but let's roll. And I'm just like, hey, let me send you my buyer's guide to your email. Let me get your email address. So I got that. Send them my buyer's guide. And then I'm like, okay, well, do you feel comfortable instead of us meeting face to face because of all things considering, let's just hop on a Zoom call and chat, you and your husband about the home buying process. Like, I just want to show up in this time. Like, so many people have reached out to me in the last week, and I'm working on getting pre-approved. I don't know if they're ready to buy right now, but all I know is during this time, I'm going to nurture that relationship so that when this is over, we can hit the ground running. So I scheduled Zoom calls. I've got appointments set for that every day, and getting them in contact with lenders, and they're so appreciative. They're like, wow, thank you so much for like setting this up, telling us how to do it, sending us this buyer's guide, breaking down the process, and like making it happen considering what's going on, and me showing up, not being salesy. Like, look, I understand if you are a little fearful right now of what's happening, but this is also what's happening is I'm still having showings every day. I'm doing the inspection, appraisals, closings. Those things are still happening, and interest rates are still low. I know what interest rates are right now, but I do not know what they will be in 6 months from a year. But whatever you decide, like, I'm here for you. And I just get straight to the point with that. Let me send you my buyer's guide. Let me schedule this Zoom call with you. And then after that, you can follow up with them. Hey, did you have any other questions from that Zoom call? I send my database, which probably a lot of you know, a video every single week. And now I'm having to make new videos because things are a little bit different now, right? But I'm solving problems with these videos. I'm coming up with solutions. I'm sharing with them how positive I am. And it's just like about setting them a buyer's guide, because I truly feel like that is valuable, and then setting up that Zoom call with them. And everybody that I've mentioned that to has been totally comfortable with it. I'm like, you can do it at home, and I won't take up too much of your time because I know that you're busy. I'll take 30 minutes. I can answer all your questions. And I always mention that every time I do these buyer consults, people kind of come into them like not really knowing what to expect. They've got all these questions, but when they leave, they feel so confident and they know what direction to go into next. And I've always mentioned that. And then they're like, okay, cool. Let's do that.
Yeah.
So I think just having a plan, having an action plan, get comfortable with these platforms because they're not going anywhere. And now I'm starting to think, I'm like, yeah, once this is over and we, can actually meet face to face, I'll probably be preferring to let's just get on a Zoom call, okay?
Same.
Let's
Yeah.
get on a Zoom call. We don't have to meet up, and we can knock this out real quick. And I think it provides just as much value.
I totally agree. So what I'm doing is once so I do things a little bit differently. I don't send out my buyer's consultation or listing consultation until they've met with me on the Zoom call or in person, one of the two. So for me, that conversation is, hey, let's go ahead and let's just talk about the process so that you know what to expect from start to finish. My end goal is to lay all of the cards out on the table so that you are well prepared when we start the process. Sound fair? All of them are like, oh yeah. And I always use that. Put all the cards out on the table. They're all like, oh my gosh, yes, I love that. So I send them the Zoom link. We hop on the call, and this is exactly what I do. I share my page and I say, okay, great. And I make it like an actual page. And I say, okay, I'm going to go over what you can expect from the process. And we go over all of these things within the buyer's consult. And I'm sharing my page with them so that they can follow along. I don't want them to have it in front of them go over all of the pages and then feel that they don't need to meet with me. My point is to get face to face with them and actually put a face and a voice in building that relationship. And then once we hop off the call, that's when the next steps happen, whether they're getting in contact with their lender, if they've already done that, I'm setting them up on a home search, whatever it is. And then I'm emailing them the PDF of what we just went over, because they would take it with them if we were face to face anyways. So now I'm just emailing it over to them, and I'm asking them, hey, is an email version PDF okay? Or would you like me to stop by and drop it off on your front porch? I'll just let you know that it's sitting there waiting for you. So just giving them that option. So that's how I am, and I'm sharing my screen, both buyers and sellers. Buyers, it's the consultation. And for sellers, it's first going over the listing presentation, and then, okay, awesome, here are the comps that I have. What I am doing for the sellers is putting together everything, including the listing paperwork, the comps, and I'm having it overnight shipped to them. So they have it, the paper version of it, and then not my packet though, just all of the, like, going over the listing paperwork and all of that, and the comps, because a lot of people want to hold that. They want to look through comps. They want to look at photos and all of those things. So for a couple of bucks, you can get a FedEx overnight label shipped to them, get it printed out, put it in the mail, and then they have it. So that's what I'm doing for the appointments. What questions do you guys have in regards to the appointments and hosting virtual appointments? Also, I wanted to mention, we are at a changing time. And like Stevie said, it's always that I want to be a solution for you. And so knowing that they're going to say, well, how does showings work? If it's a seller, how does showings work? How do I know who's coming through my home? How do I know that they're pre-approved, ready to go, and they're not just wasting my time and bringing their germs into my house, right? All of these things. And so you might have to spend a couple of hours one night to put together a info sheet that says, for showings, you can expect, I'm going to drop off a sanitary kit for you. It's going to have in there booties, masks, antibacterial, toilet paper, just like a whole bunch of stuff. You can give that to them to have. And then we made a nice laminated sign that was to the agent that's showing. You can also let them know that you're calling every single agent before they confirm an appointment to say, are your clients pre-approved? Are they willing to make an offer if this is the home for them? So that you're, again, not inconveniencing your people. And I'm telling my people, feel free to still stay in the home. Head out front, go into the back, go into the garage, whatever you feel most comfortable with. And that way they don't feel like they have to leave. They can turn on all the lights beforehand so that the buyers and agents coming through, they don't have to open up doors or turn on lights. You've already done all that for them. What else haven't I covered?
Well, I did want to mention, because I had never gone to any kind of training before I ever did a buyer consult. So the first time I did it, I just was like, I'm just going to wing this. Like, what exactly do I discuss? What do I need to talk about? I had no idea. So I thought I would come on here and just share with you. And really, I've just been implementing. It's really a very similar conversation when I'm doing the Zoom call. So in case you've never done a buyer consult before, I know I talked to a lot of newer agents, and a lot of you are on here. So basically, when we get together, I'm just saying, like, getting to know them a little bit better. Or if it is a friend of mine, like, how have you been, and referencing things, and just having this open, like, real conversation about life. And especially with what's going on right now, I'm like, how are you doing, with all things considering? And really, people love to talk about themselves, so they just go on a tangent and they tell you all these things, right? You all know that. So it's a very easy, like, starter conversation. Then I really just tell them, hey, look, I'm just going to break down my buyer guide for you. I'm going to break down the whole process, all of the steps, what to expect, the upfront costs, timeline of events, and I'll probably answer a lot of your questions with that. But at the end, I will if there was something that I hadn't answered, we can chat about that. And I want to know more about like what you're looking for. And then we chat about how to look at properties on my website. So I've always used my buyer guide as a guide as I'm talking with them, because it's like, I don't want to miss anything. There's so much to remember, right? And I always tell people there's no way I could explain the entire home buying process to you in this 31-hour time that we have together, but I am going to break down the basics for you to know what your next steps are. So I'm using the guide and I'm really going page by page as reference. And it's great because all the things that I'm mentioning are right in front of them, already written down. So they're not having to like, let me write what she's saying. It's so much information. It's all right in front of them. And then I break all that down, and usually I answer all of their questions. And really then we just start ending the conversation with them again, where I'm like, what are you looking for? And then I kind of talk a little bit about the showing process, how let me know immediately so that we can get out there. Or if you want to spend a whole Saturday and look at houses, I'm good with that too. And then that's kind of just where we wrap it up. But I wanted to share that with you because my first buyer consult, I had no idea. And this is just what I've been doing from the beginning, and it just seems to be working. So
Awesome.
hopefully
Good.
that's helpful.
Yeah, no, it definitely gives like a good outline of how to construct those consultations. So
Yeah.
good deal. Really quickly, because I know we want to be respectful of your time, and we're at 6:31. Just really quickly, while we have a lot of this downtime, take advantage of it. And what I mean by that is, how many of us, when we're in the heat of the season and everything, we're like, oh, I don't have time to do that. Oh, I'll do that later. That's not important right now in my business. Take this time to get your database in check. Do you have everybody's name, number, email, address, birthday, anniversary, home anniversary? Do you have all of that in there for your people? If not, it's a great reason to reach out to them. Just to say, hey, it's Amanda. I hope you're doing well. There's a lot of crazy things going on in the world. How are you and the family? I was just thinking about you guys. Yada, yada, yada. Okay, awesome. Well, hey, I'm really taking advantage of this time to make sure I have up-to-date contact information for everybody. So can you just confirm with me, what's your address, or, anything like that, birthday or anniversary or whatever. Doing that, making sure that all of your marketing material is the same, right? Are your logos, pictures, does all of that match your current brand? What about your social media? I went through and made sure that my profile picture and bio were the same throughout all of my platforms, because I have time to do that right now, where that's not my favorite thing to do, but guess what? It took me 10 minutes. And I was able to sit down at my computer and make sure that it was all consistent, so that when people were looking me up, they could find all of that the same. So take this opportunity to do some of those not so sexy real estate tasks that, we should be doing, that maybe we just never have the time to do. This is that time. This will pass, guys. We're going to be busy and out showing homes and going on appointments here very, very soon. Take advantage of this time where you are inside of your home, stuck and glued to your computer, and get those things done, because they do matter in your business. It's just that they don't matter, when you are super busy.
Well, I think that I don't know about you guys, but I've still been so busy. I haven't had time to quarantine, and I haven't been home all day, and like all those things, like a lot of other people. But and no matter what, like I feel as though I'm very busy right now in my business, but you all are probably very busy in your business too, or have kids, and that keeps you so occupied. But I know I've been saying, like, reach out to your sphere, see how people are doing. And I did that today. I made time to do that to all my past customers, even though I still don't really have time, but I'm hoping in the next couple of weeks I'll be able to do all those things that Amanda mentioned. But I had these conversations today with past customers. I've been doing this 5 years, and I keep saying that I'm going to reach out to them, and and I'll send them things in the mail, but I don't just call them, right? I'm not just checking up on them, but I did it today, and I had some amazing conversations, and they were sending me photos of what they've done to the house since they bought it. And I'm just calling them like, hey guys, I was just thinking about you, and I just wanted to see how you were doing and if y'all needed anything. And then they just go on about what's going on in their lives with their kids. I'm getting photos of updates of what they've done to their house. And I was thinking at the end of it, I'm like, I should have been doing this all along. I should have made it a priority to follow up with them more. And I feel like that was a learning lesson for me. And I had just such great conversations. And some people had said to me how they were, well, are we being insensitive during this time reaching out with all things considering? It's like, I'm not asking them if they want to sell their house. I'm like genuinely asking, how are you doing? What's going on in your life? Is there anything I can do to help you? And so I've done that now for all my past customers, and I highly suggest if you haven't done it yet, just to reach out to them. But I have been doing it sporadically over the last week, reaching out to friends on like just texting and Facebook Messenger and Instagram and just being like, hey, how are you doing? And people just go on about how they're doing. And I'm really not even talking that much. But people love, it's like that book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It just talks about asking questions and just showing that you care. And I've just been trying to do that throughout the day. It takes 2 seconds. And I think it's going to be really valuable. You're staying top of mind. People know that I'm really busy and I'm taking time out of my day to reach out to them. And just think if I had kids and I was reaching out to them, they'd be like, well, I know she's really busy, right? And I know some of you on here have kids, and if you just take a couple seconds just to reach out with people, don't overthink it. Just be like, how are you doing? What's going on in your life? And I guarantee they're going to spill.
Yeah, for
There's
sure.
a lot going on.
Yeah. I, just to piggyback off that really quickly. So I reached out and had said, hey, I'm going to fight all of the crowds at Kroger. Do you need anything? I had a client who took me up on it. And she said, yes, I need bread and I cannot find bread anywhere. Guess what I did? I went and hand delivered her 2 loaves of bread. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
I mean, little things like that where that meant so much to her and her family.
Yeah.
And I mean, and think of for me, like it was like, I am doing this for her. Like it just made me feel really good too. So yes, I think, just reaching out to people just to see how they're doing, it does go a long way.
Okay, cool. Well, hopefully this is beneficial for everybody, and I know that we're going to need a topic for next week, so please let me know because we want to keep showing up for you. We want to keep doing this. We know things are changing and they're going to be different, and we had this whole idea of topics, but now we're like, we got to switch it up. We've got to pivot. We've got to shift with our call. So whatever it is that you're needing help with, you're struggling with, that you just want to pop on here and talk about, and we can all work through it together. Like, don't hesitate to reach out and share.
Yeah, absolutely. So let us know how we can help you guys with growing your business if there's anything specifically. But I'm so happy that at 19 of you had showed up to say, okay, I know that we've got to do something in my business to still have it thrive even with this changing market. So way to go. You guys rock. We'll talk with you soon. Have a great week and go crush it.